Welcome to Animate Effects. Starting off with a figure. This is an O-scale figure, and the first thing that I've done here is I've cut his arm off with a razor saw, and I've added a piece of styrene that's curved. You can see the curvature that's on that, so that his arm goes in. And I've also used a Dremel tool to hollow out that with a round bit, and that just hollows that out there so that the arm fits in there. And you get the arm to move in there. Again, when we do this, we just use a number B2 pencil that's nice and soft, and we go in there with a pencil and we'll give that dry lubrication. So that's all ready to go there. Alright, got some dry lubrication in there. The other part is that we drill out. I drill out so you can see that the drill's gone through all the way. We'll hide that side, of course, so it won't go all the way through. And I've also drilled up his leg. Now just get this in here. There we got it. There we go. So I've drilled up his leg and into the hollow. Now this hollow in the back that I've cut out there, that's going to work this wire rod that's going to go up here, and another rod. Wait a minute, I'll get this going through here. I'm using nickel silver wire, so that'll be going into his arm. I'll get this on here, excuse my fingers, not an easy sort of thing to show everyone. Get that in there. Right, so there's his arm on there. Well, sorry about that. His arm goes on there, and we'll super glue this on there, and we'll give it a bit more lead pencil, and then his arm will be on there. And the next step, we come in here. I'll trim that off a bit, but we'll come in here and we'll put some flux on the wire going through there, and we'll go and put a little bit of brass tube on there, so that when the rod pushes up here, it's going to push the brass tube and turn this wire, and his arm moves. Now, to get the crank to work, I'm using some 1mm diameter brass tube, and the hole through the tube is the same size as the nickel silver wire I'm using, which is about 1/17 thou in diameter. I like the nickel silver, it's nice and strong. You can use phosphor bronze, but I prefer the nickel silver, and that phosphor bronze I use for O-scale, HO scale. Anyhow, there's a little piece I've just cut off. So I'll just got to dress that up, make sure the drill goes through it, and I'll show you the next step. Alright, I put the bit of brass tube on the drill bit so that I can manage it, and I'm just going to put some flux on there. So there's a bit of brass tube, that's fluxed. Now I've got my soldering iron set at 300 degrees centigrade, and we'll just do a bit of chinning. Right in the middle if I can. Yep. There we go. That's all we got. So we've tinned that, and I just checked that that's right. Yeah, the drill bit goes through, so that's sliding on there. So I can now do part 2, which is the wire that's going up his leg. I bend that 90 degrees, if you can see that. I'm going to do there 90 degrees, and that's going to go in there. So we now have the brass tube on. Now for the next part, this is where you get tricky, but I'll get a piece of wire, which I call the horizontal, and I put a little bit of flux right on the shaft right in the middle there, and of course that's going to need to be tinned. So we tin that. That should be enough. So that's been tinned in there now. And I've made a little bend on the wire here, so I can actually turn to get this wire right. Now I'll get this one in. Okay, so I've now got the wire in there, and I'm going to solder that onto the horizontal wire. And I'll get a bit of solder. And there's my movement. So having the bit of tube soldered onto the horizontal wire allows to get the movement for the arm. We covered this with a bit of tissue paper and then paint over it, tissue paper and glue over there, and you won't even notice there's a hole in his back. Alright, so we've got to put his arm on. Alright, we put a bit of super glue on there, get his arm in there. So now we have his arm movement. I'll hold him there. Now that's it. Is it moving? Now to tidy that up, just push that in a little bit more. But that's pretty much it. There's the next part. These are what they call N20 geared motors. So they come, you can get them 3 volts, 15 revs per minute, 30 revs per minute, 60 revs per minute. And that, if you look at this black dot I put on there, you can see that if I connected him to the figure, his arm goes up, down, up, down. So that's not a bad realistic movement. So that's pretty good. The other part that I've got here, you can see, is a voltage little buck step down regulator. It's I got 12 volts coming into it here, and then whatever I want coming out of there. So I've got 12.3 actually in there. I press this button here, and that comes up. I've got 3 volts in it. Now if I want to change that 3 volts and make it go faster, the little pot here, I can turn that clockwise and get my fingers in there. I'm getting old. And then you'll see the digital display going up. There's 4 volts. You hear the motor starts to hum but now. Now there's 5.4 volts. That's turning a lot faster. Now if I want that really slow, this will go down to 1.2. So we'll just take it down to 1.2. 1.2, and see how far. This is really going too slow there now. for his arm going up and down. But if you want a slow movement on an animation, away you go. So I'll put this back up to about 3. So there's 3, up and down, up, down, up, down. Alright, so I've cut a piece of styrene here, and on the bottom of the motor I've roughed it up through there and across this front piece here. I'm going to super glue that and all of this so that I keep away from the gears onto the piece of styrene. Okay, just using the super glue. This is like a gel, and we put that on the styrene so the motor's clear, and I let it run like that so that everything's all good. And while it's there, I've got some Lavelle oil, and we just give it everything a little oil. Right, so we got a little bit of oil on it there. That's going to last for 12 months, 2 years, whatever. So that's all set there. Now when I mount this, I usually put a bit of double-sided foam tape to stop any noise, vibration coming through. But next step I've got to do is I've got to drill this and put a Pico track spike in it, which is going to be the crank wheel. So, well, I've now drilled a hole through the crank wheel and I put a Pico track spike in there, so that it just comes out about like that, nearly 1/8 of an inch, or 332 anyhow, or 3 mil. The other part I've done is I've drilled up his other leg, and I've put in another piece of wire, and that's so that when I put him on the base, which I've already drilled the hole, so there's the hole that's going to go through for his to get the movement. I've got to bend make the bend a wire to make the crank, and that's so. What I'll do now is, there's the motor running. I'll turn the motor off, and I'll put him in now. So there's that goes in, and that's going to go in there, that hole. Right, so that's him down there now, but I've got to glue him on, so, and let the super glue dry. So I'll just do that and we'll come back. Okay, so I've now bent the wire coming down, and I'll put a bit of flux on there, and just going to join that up, and we'll see how that goes. Connect him up, and put the black one on, and here we go. His arm around. He's up, down. Not quite enough movement there. Okay, so I've just tightened that up so there's not so much movement there, that the crank pin hits up, pause, comes down, so that it's not a bang bang bang, up down, it's just there's gradual movement there for him. So that's just how easy it is, well, easy it is to do, and adding other movement on your layout, you have a lot more fun. Anyhow, I hope that's helpful to people. Drop a comment if you need some extra help.
Thank you for watching Animate FX. Hope you enjoyed it.